This video will focus on shamanism and astrology and techniques one might be able to use in a turbulent world for a sense of survival and security. This was created, directed, and presented by Reverend Dr. Mullen. Dr. Mullen would like to dedicate this video to the memory of the victims of the Pulse shootings and Christina Grimmie. She sends her deepest condolences to the family and friends of those who were lost, and she extends warm wishes for a full recovery for those who were wounded.
This is astrologer Mullen, and oh my, what a time it is in the world right now as we're recording this. Tremendous things. There was an earthquake the other night in, I think it was in Japan, and there also are a lot of storms, floods in Tennessee, but we're just a few blocks from the scene of the worst mass shooting in the United States history at the Pulse Club, and a few blocks the other direction, the Plaza Live Theater, where the star from The Voice was shot by a crazed fan. What to do? There's a great deal astrologically that we could speak about. Living in downtown Orlando, Florida, almost around the corner from these tragedies, I've been especially aware of how society and life as we know it are changing daily. Ancient prophecies from Nostradamus, Edgar Cayce, Mother Shipton, and Black Elk, and even the book of Revelations in the Bible are all unfolding daily. It's a time of wonderment, but special challenges to survival at all. How can we cope? There's extreme outpourings of love going on with the memorials, the millions of dollars raised, songs, and all sorts of permanent memorials being discussed. And yet at the same time, there's extremes of hatred and anger affecting people. Joy and anguish are marking new parameters in our lives every day, it seems. All of humanity has to just hold on for the ride. We have to try to do as well as we can and live in the light. Well, that's all very easy to say, but how in the world do you specifically talk about doing that? There's a technique called a shamanic journey that I want to suggest, and there's a way to use astrology to facilitate a shamanic journey that actually came to me when I was planning to prepare a segment about the astrology of the mass shooting. I came up with this instead, a shamanic journey. It provides a wonderful way to use undeveloped potentials contained in each of our minds and bodies, and the power of the deep mind to create a joyful and safe existence during these times of personal and planetary change. Although it's often associated with Native American spirituality today, shamanism is actually a Siberian word. It refers to someone who's experienced an alternative view of reality. Specifically, it's a state of consciousness which involves dreams and visions, leading to an ability to actually impact the everyday physical world around us. Shamans, those who are able to accomplish this, have been important figures in cultures around the globe since the dawn of time. The Ainu of Japan, the Aranda tribe of Australia, almost all of the Native American tribes, the Celts of the British Isles, the rune casters of the Nordic countries, and Russian visionaries are among those who have a tradition of shamanism. At present, this ancient practice of shamanism is going through a major revival. It begins with experiencing a state of ecstasy, call it Shaktipa, a vision of a saint, a religious awakening. It's often induced by spending time outdoors in meditation to precipitate a new level of awareness and sensitivity, getting off the grid for a bit. Dream interpretation, crystals and fragrances can be used during this process. Without exception, avoid all mood-altering substances, though. Alcohol, etc., have no place in a genuine shamanic experience. With patience, there are safe and easy steps to facilitate your personal shamanic journey. Woden, the Nordic god of wisdom, brought the runes following a shamanic trance, and in the tarot deck, the Hanged Man portrays the journey, the shamanic journey, a reversal of consciousness. Legend tells us he hung upside down, suspended in Gradsdil, the world tree, for 9 days and 9 nights. And at the end of that time, he was given the sacred runes to share with humanity. Again, in the tarot deck, the Arthurian legend will denote the Hanged Man tradition, and going into King Arthur's court, Merlin leads a young King Arthur on a shamanic-like journey where his consciousness is extended to run like a deer and to fly like a bird. We can all follow that shape-shifting, that change in the mind's eye, to focus on other dimensions, to visualize other people and events as we would like them to be. One step in beginning to use shamanism, if you're feeling post-traumatic experiences and energies, is to, in your meditation, prepare a different end to the nightmare. Mentally go through an experience that might have been difficult, and then in your mind's eye and thought, change it into something else that would have been favorable and release it. That technique actually does help. Dream work is also important when we don't know what to do anymore. The old phrase, sleep on it. And in the morning, record the first impression or thought upon awakening, and any dream interpretations. Even if you think you don't dream, the dream mechanism is like a muscle. You can exercise it and begin to recall more and more. Shamanism is very important as a part of dream work. A weekend camping trip can help. I guess tramping around. As a shaman, balance, poise, a recognition of inner power are the goals to keep in mind. Most of us just use a tiny fragment of our intelligence, our physical strength. Beginning to use just a little bit more is a way to cope with all of the limitations, disappointments, and real fears in the world around us. A shamanic animal in a dream nest is a technique that the Native Americans tribes would use, and they do something that I think sounds really nice. Build a dream nest and just go to sleep if things weren't going well, and wait until an animal came with answers in a dream. Well, waiting a long time might not be something we can do in today's world, but you can select an animal beforehand and take it with you. This technique will work beautifully. A postcard, picture, or statue, maybe a film about a favorite animal. The word zodiac actually means circle of animals in Greek, and the zodiac symbols and myths behind them are a way to begin with shamanism, but it's also possible to select another animal that relates to the traits of the higher side of yourself. In beginning to analyze and study the shamanic animal guides, thinking of the sign of Aries, the ram, animals that would work would be the wolf, the horse, and opossum. And the keywords are pathways and state of higher awareness and new flashes of new beginnings. Moving ahead to the sign of Taurus, we think of the cow and the bull, but there's also the beaver, dog, and hawk. Building, constructive, cooperation, and loyalty are the keywords. Gemini, the agile, alert deer. Porcupine and coyote, gentle, alert, faith, but dual and responsive are your keywords. That new animal, the coy wolf, that's appearing, that survives so well in urban settings. If you relate to the coy wolf, the hybrid coyote and wolf, there's a lot of material about how clever and adaptable it is, emerging as a new species. That impresses me as being very apropos to Gemini. Cancer, the crab, sea creatures, whales, badgers, and the owl, the night bird, enhances your intuition and your seeking mission and outsmarting and outlasting the other players around you. Leo, of course, we think of the lion, the lynx, the dog, but also the turkey. And we could also think of the peacock being with the Leo influence. Subtle, prowling, release, waiting and watching are your keynotes. Virgo, the squirrel, fox, and rabbit. Mobile, rewards of planning, and conserving of resources. Libra, you're the only zodiac sign that isn't represented by a living entity, or the scales. That's a good game show question, by the way. Every once in a while on Jeopardy, places like that, the contestants are asked, what is the only zodiac sign that doesn't have a living emblem? So you know the answer to that. Maybe you'll win $1 million. That would be nice. Better than the lottery. With Libra, the crow, butterfly, and mouse. Communication, detachment, attention to truth. Scorpio, of all of the zodiac signs, the concept of going into the deep mind, shamanism, changing a nightmare into a beautiful dream might come most easily to you. The buffalo, weasel, and dragonfly, open to abundance, release of the myth of scarcity and illusion would be your goal. Sagittarians, the half-animal, half-human sign, might have the easiest time finding a shamanic path. The moose, elk, and eagle, to honor the self, potentials, and dignity. Capricorn, you have the goat, but also the antelope and the bear. Personal strength, reliability, and motivation. Aquarians, animals that transform and fly, such as the bat and the swan, also the dolphin. Surrender, resilience, persistence, and change. Pisces, the hummingbird, which represents happiness in the Andes, the frog, and the raven. Embrace pleasure, happiness, count your blessings. These keywords and animal guides are a way to begin on your shamanic journey. Near the full moon, emotions are high, and if you're going through some emotional stresses at the time of the full moon, avoid that time period for doing a deep trance or taking a shamanic journey. The best time is actually the balsamic moon phase, the dark of the moon, the 3 days before the new moon. That time relates to a futuristic outlook, looking into the dimensions and worlds beyond this one. On my website, Sky Maiden Musings, I have a free moon calendar that you can look at in order to see when the full and new moons are. And so the time right before the new moon, again, remember that. And also the moon phase in which you were born. Your astrologer can easily tell you that if you were born at the first quarter, a crescent moon, a full moon, or the last quarter, that moon phase each month is extremely good for dealing with the qualities of the inner mind and having a successful shamanic journey. This is astrologer Dickie Jo Mullen with blessings and good wishes for the times ahead.